If you're a gamer or a content creator who does live streams or does video recordings like I am right now, or perhaps you're working from home and you just don't want the sounds of keyboard keys typing in the background, you may appreciate having a nice quiet typing keyboard. So the company Be Quiet has recently added keyboards to their product lineup, which is very interesting to see their take on how to create a higher end keyboard that's quiet. Similar to their other products, they have a light series and a dark series models. The dark series tends to be their more expensive, more premium, more feature rich products, whereas the light mode still has a lot of features, but not as many, a little more basic than the dark mode, but it comes at a more budget friendly price. And so with these keyboards, there's a light mount version and a dark mount version. So I'll talk about the light mount version first, and then we'll move to the dark mount version. So for the light mount version, you'll see in the upper left hand corner, there is a dial that can be used for volume control. And there's also buttons M1 through M5 that can be used for media controls, or you can program them to be shortcut keys for macros or whatever you want to use those for. And that's a nice thing about having extra keys on a keyboard compared to a standard keyboard, because especially ones, you can program them. At the top of the keyboard, you'll see there is a RGB light bar that can be programmed to do different colors, and all the keys are backlit, and it participates in all that color changing schemes of the keyboard. And so you can change it to however you want to see fit. There's lots of different patterns that you can use, and you can change all these types of things in the Be Quiet IO Center. And this is an application that runs on Windows or Mac. But they also have a web version for Linux users, which is great because Linux is not left out completely. And the web app works about as good as the application, not quite as responsive, but it pretty much looks, it's very similar. And it has the same features and capabilities. And I tried it on Windows and Linux just to try out the differences between the software, desktop app, and the web app. The keyboard comes with a nice little, very comfortable armrest pad at the bottom that you can take off or on. You don't have to use it. It's magnetic, which is nice. It just sticks right on. On the bottom of the keyboard, there are 2 feet that you can lift up if you want the keyboard to sit at a steeper angle. Here's a close-up shot of pushing the keys down so you can see what the action on the keys look like along with the RGB lighting underneath each key. So now let's talk about the dark mode keyboard. It's interesting because it's a little bit more modular. You can detach the numeric keypad if you don't want to use it, but you can't use it by itself. It still needs to be connected to the keyboard so it can get power. It has like a little connector on the side that connects into the main keyboard. But if you just want your keyboard, you're temporarily not using your numeric keypad, and you want to have a little smaller footprint, you could just take off that numeric keypad and attach it whenever you need it. And so that gives you a little more flexibility if you just want just the main keys. And there's also a media screen that can be attached on the top of the keyboard. It can be connected on the left-hand side of the keyboard or the right-hand side of the keyboard. So it's very interesting. There's 2 ports at the top, and you have the option to move that screen to either side of the keyboard, which is great because it depends if you're like left-handed or right-handed. That might be very useful for you to have it on one side or the other, or maybe just the way your desktop is set up. It's just better to have visually to have that screen on the left hand side or the right hand side. And that screen is nice because it gives you some media controls on it and some other little things you can do, like you can put an image and graphic on there. As you can see, just for fun, I put my Home Network Guy logo on there so I can have it in the background. Or you can show the clock if you want instead, if that's more useful to you. And so you can have like a default screen on there. The software allows you to have that screen shut off after a while if you don't want it running all the time. Above the numeric keypad are some nice illuminated buttons that you can reprogram for different functions that you want for shortcut keys. On the bottom of the keyboard, you can put on some magnetic feet so you can raise up the keyboard at a steeper angle. And the same goes for the numeric keypad as well. You can get these keyboards in 2 different styles. You can have the linear version or the tactile version. The linear version, which is the dark mount one that I have at my desk, the keys seem really sensitive. I just rest my fingers on it. Sometimes I end up typing a bunch of gibberish on the screen because I'm resting my hands on the keys too heavy. And I'm used to my old keyboard, it wouldn't push the keys down. I could just rest my hands on it. It's probably bad posture, bad form anyway. I probably shouldn't do that. So it's kind of training me not to just rest my hands down on there. And I noticed that the light mount one, I can actually just rest my hands on it. It's a little bit more like a traditional keyboard, but it still has that nice quiet keys. So the tactile one might be a little bit more like what you'd expect and what you're used to if you're transitioning off of just a basic standard keyboard to a Be Quiet keyboard. Full disclosure, Be Quiet sent me these keyboards to try out, and they don't get to see the video before I publish it. So I like to thank Be Quiet for sending out these products to me. I appreciate that I have the opportunity to do this and to share the instant information with you guys in case you're interested in buying such products. So you have a little more information going into it, to be a little more informed than what I've found out and discovered just from playing around with it, because sometimes that's a little more interesting than just reading off the spec sheet to see what it can do. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. I'm Dustin Casto, signing out.